Representative Carlson, thanks for being with us today as we look ahead to the 2020 session. And first off, as we like to do with members, let's talk about your district. You represent 50B, which is a lot of Bloomington, but can you kind of expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so House District 50B is all within Bloomington, which means a lot to me as a former Bloomington City Council member to still represent the same community is it's a job I take very seriously and one I'm very proud to have. So public service I think is a great calling, and I'm just happy to serve. Bloomington is a thriving community, city of 85,000 people with a great hospitality industry, and great schools, great neighborhoods, and it's seen some change. We are seeing greater diversity both within our schools as well as within our municipal workforce. So I think all for the better. I really do think the future for Bloomington is bright.
If I'm correct, you have the eastern side of Bloomington.
It kind of falls right in the middle. It kind of runs along the southern border, runs along the Minnesota River there. Then from Normandale all the way over to the Mall of America.
Okay, so you do have the mall.
I do, yes, yeah. Spent quite a bit of time there over the holidays, so time and money. Yep. Yeah, it was a busy place for sure.
You're also getting that fancy new water park, it sounds like, too, over there.
Yes, that's a subject where the City Council and the Mayor have been doing a good job of keeping the legislative delegation informed on that. I don't see anything coming before the legislature with regards to that expansion, but that's definitely a big deal.
How tough is it for you? You've got, you represent a local area, mm-hmm. but yet you've got such an economic driver for the state there with the mall and everything around that. Is that tough to balance?
The mall is a great partner when it comes to sponsorships for different events and so forth. So we do feel blessed having them in the community and their community support. I think with the change in the neighborhood around there and the development that has sparked is a good thing for our community. And as with a planned development occurring around there, that's going to continue to contribute to our local economy, as well as the regional economy for that matter.
You mentioned a little bit ago, you served on City Council in Bloomington for a lot of years. How much does that local experience help when you're looking at kind of a state issue? And I'm thinking things like LGA, for example.
Sure. It helps tremendously. As these programs can get very complicated quickly, and having some fundamental understanding of how they work, not only on an academic level, but how they can be applied within your community, I think makes me a better representative to kind of speak to the details of these issues. Bloomington definitely takes advantage of local government aid. For many years has been a contributor as opposed to a receiver. Over the last couple of years, maybe has received some money through that. But and also serving on property taxes too is another, I think, asset that I can offer in terms of some expertise in terms of some of these more complex tax issues as well. So I don't know if that gets to your question, but Bloomington's a large community where these types of programs are ones that we look at closely and consider in terms of how they can benefit Bloomington residents.
So I know we were looking at one of your recent legislative updates, talked about how the forecast came out not too long ago. It's a nice looking surplus right now, but inflation's not included in some of that.
Right.
You're co-sponsoring a bill that would include inflation. Why is that important?
Right. So including inflation, we all do this as part of our family budget. We want to account for that. So I think it makes sense that at the state level we do it as well. I think it provides for greater transparency in government and in accounting for the dollars that we know are going to have to be accounted for. Why don't we just include that as part of our budgeting process? So I think it's a simple bill. I think it's one that merits discussion, and folks should bring forth the pros and cons of that argument. But to me, it's just a fundamental of finance that needs to be considered.
As we sit here, we're about a month out from session, mm-hmm. but I know the Capital Investment Committee, for example, they've been busy. They had a busy fall touring places. They stopped in Bloomington. I mean, what did you want to showcase there that you're looking at for 2020? And
Yeah,
how big of a bonding bill you supporting this year?
That's fantastic. We were so glad to hear that the bonding committee came to Bloomington. We showcased 2 projects. There was the expansion for the Bloomington Arts Center, which is a part of City Hall. And we were able to tour through that and show, really it has become a regional attraction. And the artistry and the other groups that operate through there are really kind of bursting at the seams. And they have literally become victims of their own success. So these bonding dollars would be a huge piece towards that future expansion. The other one was Normandale Community College, which is, I believe, is still the largest community college in the MnSCU system. And they're also doing very well in terms of their programming. So, what they are looking for, these are pretty bread and butter types of requests. And I think our students deserve, if we want to provide that world-class education, that those dollars would be put to good use.
How big of a bill can you get behind this year?
Good question.
We've heard $1 billion, we've heard $3 billion, we've seen $5 billion. I think $5 billion plus was the request to MMB.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting way where we, I wish we would reverse that. Instead of just putting a cap on a dollar amount, let's look at the merits of these projects and work from the bottom up. We're not going to be able to fund them all. The asks far exceed what we're going to be able to fund. But I think if we put that conversation aside for now and just did the evaluation based on the merits of those projects and let that drive the number, so the focus is on the projects and not the dollar amount so much. I mean, we need to worry about the money, don't get me wrong. We need to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. But I think we can reach a more amenable solution in terms of what the bonding bill should be based on the projects that are included.
2020, short session, but what do you want to see accomplished this year?
Well, I have my priority list. Just for the sake of our conversation today, I'll kind of limit it to my top 3. Bonding, of course, being number 1. If we can get a bonding bill passed this year, I think that would be good for all corners of Minnesota. Number 2 would be the emergency insulin bill. My colleague, Representative Michael Howard, who represents the other half of our Senate district, as well as Senator Wickland, have championed that over the past year. And the stories they bring forward from our community and across the states, the need for that bill to get passed needs to happen right away. And so I'm hoping that that's a quick win that we can all come to agreement on and get passed early on in the session. And I think through that effort, too, we can show some camaraderie and coming together and working in a bipartisan way then for the rest of the session. The third item that I would list on my top 3 is what else we can do with affordable housing. I hear from my constituents on a weekly basis the need for affordable housing. And it's not just an issue in our cities and in our suburban areas, but in small towns across the state. So I think there's a statewide initiative in which we can bring forward some policy as well as hopefully some funding to address our housing crisis.
I know last year, I think you sponsored the bill for the Legislative Commission on Affordable Housing.
Mm-hmm.
How's that been going?
Well, in addition to that, I think there's a lot of other bills too that still deserve a hearing as well. So in the conversations I've had in the interim, what can be done, I has kind of broadened my horizons in terms of what the art of the possible is. So I don't want to just focus on one particular piece of legislation. I really want to have a robust conversation about what we can do to address affordable housing.
Assuming you're running for re-election this year and you win again, you will be the Carlson with the most seniority in the House in 2021.
Yes.
Because Lynn Carlson has been here for almost 50 years, is stepping aside. Can we expect to see you here in 2050, 2060?
Well, gosh, one election at a time, right? One step at a time. But Lyndon, Representative Carlson, what a legacy, and just the honor to get to serve with him in the legislature for these past couple years, and he's been a mentor to me over that time, and always with his patience and willingness to answer my freshman questions a couple years back. He will be sorely missed, and I hope to stay in touch with him in the years ahead still, because there will be times when his background and knowledge will be needed. So I hope that we can still stay in touch.